Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Loving Life Freely here on YouTube. I am a full-time reseller on eBay, Poshmark, and Kari, and I also sell kids clothes on Whatnot. And I'm super excited about this week's weekly chat. There has been a lot of conversation in the reseller community, whether it's on YouTube or Whatnot or Poshmark Lives. There's a lot of chitter chatter going on, and we're going to discuss some of that today, so stay tuned. Okay, guys, so this is one of those conversations that I want to share with you. I follow quite a few people on Whatnot, and before I dive into that, first of all, let me actually give you an update. I almost always forget to do this every week, but how are things going for us? Personally, they're going great. Everything is good here. Busy as usual. We all know we're all very busy, so I'm not the exception by any means. I have actually been working on being busy, but being more productively busy and not working such long hours. So I've been tweaking and changing things. And for if you kind of noticed from my videos as you've been watching me, I don't just tweak and change something and then months later, okay, I tweak and change something. I am constantly tweaking, growing, learning, and changing, okay? And I think as a reseller, it's really important to do that, especially right now as a reseller. And we will get to that here in just a minute. My sales have been a little bit slower lately. I have been making sales, but you know what? It's funny because my sales, it really just kind of depends. I'm still kind of on track with my monthly goal this month. I will have days where I don't have a lot, and then boom, I just get a bunch and it just boosts everything through the roof. So it's kind of really early to tell because it's only mid-month. And so it's hard for me to say how things are going so far. But that is actually not my focus right now. My focus is learning and growing and improving to make more sales and make my business better. That's my focus right now. Yes, I do look at sales, but it's not something I severely focus on. I really am focusing on education, seeing how other people are tweaking and changing their thoughts on things. If they have more experience in something, learning their experience in something that maybe I want to dive into. Lots of research and things like that. So let's talk a little bit about the community. Has been having a lot of conversation, like I said, various different platforms between eBay, Lives, Poshmark, and all of that. People are having a big issue right now with how slow Poshmark is. And it's funny because people talk more about Poshmark and slow sales on Poshmark than they do any other platform. And what I find funny and kind of interesting is sales are also slow on eBay, and they can be slow on Mercari and other platforms too. But right now, typically the only platform people talk about if they're having really slow sales in most conversations is Poshmark. It's like the thing to talk about is slow sales on Poshmark, regardless of whether or not they're having slow sales on eBay also. And typically Poshmark and eBay are the main platforms that most people sell on if they sell on platforms. So I find it interesting that Poshmark is talked about so much more than eBay if they're having slow sales on both, or if they don't sell on Poshmark and they're just on eBay, there's not a lot of topic about slow sales on eBay. So I find that kind of funny and interesting. And honestly, I think it's because people are so, now forgive me for saying this, but people are so stuck on Poshmark Lives affecting everything that that's the topic of conversation is sales on Poshmark. Now, whether or not Poshmark Lives are affecting sales, I can't determine that for people's businesses. Honestly, my business has grown a little bit more, and I don't know that Poshmark sales are Poshmark Lives are affecting my business. My focus is what I am listing, what my listings are listed at, how much I share, and all those other factors to how you run your Poshmark business. Now, I'm going to give you an update. I have been approved for Poshmark Lives. I know, everybody, oh my gosh, don't jump to the screen. One of the reasons why I am going to pursue this is for my business model. I am not one that likes to hold on to things long term. But I am also one, excuse me. Sorry, guys. I just got a tickle in my throat suddenly and I couldn't talk. I'm also one who always wants to at least double my money, whether it's kids' clothes or adult clothes, get the items sold and get it moved and flow through the inventory. Okay. Now, some items I have held on to longer. Okay. But for me, if I can sell other things on Poshmark Lives that I can't sell on Whatnot Lives, flush through some old inventory and get rid of some pieces, and maybe sell other pieces that my cog is low enough that they can sell on Posh, still double my income on top of the fee, absolutely I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm so sorry. If there are people on Poshmark looking for deals like that, not everybody is, and granted, as a seller on Poshmark, I want the best bang for my buck on my current listings. Yes. So what I'm doing is I'm actually dividing what's on my listings unless I'm flushing out old inventory. And I have specifics of when I sell them, I want to sell my lives. I already know what my cogs are. I already know what I want to sell things for. I already know what my business model is. I already know what the fee structure is. And in my brain, I know what I can list on Poshmark, give people a good price on an item, still make my money, and walk away with more inventory going, and still make a profit and move forward. With my business model, I know what pieces that will work with, and I also know what pieces I'm not going to do that with, where I want more money because maybe my cog is higher, or I want maybe to triple my money on a certain piece because it just got listed and it's a nice piece. So depending on your business model, if you have the lower end pieces, maybe you have items that are on there that you're selling between like $15 and $25, you know your cog is super low. And if you were approved for lives, and you can go on, and the reason why I say this, guys, I'm a Whatnot reseller. I already know what types of things sell on Whatnot and what doesn't. And after watching other videos of live sellers on Poshmark, and being on Whatnot myself, watching other lives on Whatnot, I have a general idea now of what can be sold on Poshmark for maybe a higher price bracket than what can be sold on Whatnot. And I can still make money, still have the fee that they take out, and still walk away with a benefit to my business model. If this can work for you too, I say go for it, you guys. If you have items in your Poshmark closet that you can do lives with, why not if you're still making money? Okay, I know everybody's going to jump to the screen. I hate lives. I hate lives. That's not the topic of conversation here right now. Our topic of conversation is making money no matter how you do it as a reseller. Let's be frank here. We are here as business owners to make money. There is a lot of changes going on in the reseller community right now, which is I'm going to kind of roll into talking about lives. There's a lot of changes going on. I just watched about a 2-hour video of a gal who has sold on Whatnot. She sells on eBay and Poshmark, and she does lives on Poshmark. Okay? She has found what works as a niche for herself. She no longer does a lot of Whatnot lives because Poshmark lives are actually working better for her business model and for her personal life and for her family and for what she has in her inventory, and that she also has things listed in her Poshmark closet that she doesn't put in her lives. And after watching this interview about what she knows about Poshmark, how it works compared to Whatnot, I have gleaned more information now that I'm approved for Poshmark to do lives, how this might work for a business model for me. And the reason why I'm doing this is, again, my goal is to figure out what can sell well on eBay, what can sell well in my Poshmark closet, what could sell well on my Whatnot lives, and what could potentially sell well on my Poshmark lives. Everybody has different ways that they resell. Some people resell on Etsy. Etsy doesn't work for my business model. Some people resell on Depop and Facebook Marketplace. Those didn't work well for my business model. Everybody has to figure out in their business model the best way that they can make money for their family, the way their business model works for them, how they can source, what their cog is, where they can source, how often they can source, how many items they want in their closet. Do they want to hold on to things? Do they want to flush through things really quickly? Everybody's different. So don't get mad at me that I'm doing Poshmark Lives. I have a very specific reason for doing this, and I'm going to be really honest with you. I'm going to be really, really frank with you. Since things are changing in the reseller community, lives are now on the plate. Okay? Not again, everything that I have in my closet is going to go into lives. It's just not going to happen. But those things that do work in my business model, you darn tootin', I'm going to take advantage of giving somebody a discount on an item that works for my business model and being able to flush more things through my store and make more money. So I think as a reseller, you don't have to do lives to make that happen. Maybe if you just want to discount things and do huge discounts when somebody likes something, that works for your business model, okay? I'm not judging anything. Everybody has something different that works for them. And honestly, I didn't ever think that I would do Poshmark Lives, but things are changing. And if Poshmark Lives, my understanding is that Poshmark Lives are actually being tested on eBay too. So my understanding, you guys, Poshmark has been doing lives for about a year now. Whatnot's been around for a while. Whatnot is growing and changing. There's a lot of people jumping on board on Whatnot. There's a lot of people making good money on lives, guys. And if my business model can work, incorporating that into my business and still making an income for my husband and I, for our family, yeah, I'm going to take advantage of what works for me. So since lives are on the plate, I still have things in my Poshmark, like I said, that won't be going into lives because I have nice pieces in there that are not going to go in lives. They just aren't, okay? Not at this time. But if I can sell other things that are cheaper pieces that I know that I can make money on, I want to roll with what changes in the reseller community, okay? So anyway, I just kind of want to explain that a little bit. I don't want to go too much, like, don't be mad at me. So reselling, let's talk about outside of lives, reselling liquidation. Whether you do lives or whether you just do listings on platforms, reselling liquidation is definitely becoming more and more popular. Whether you do pallets or boxes, a lot of people are kind of switching to that because on a lot of these pallets and boxes, the COG is so low. And I think a lot of people are looking at that more because thrift store prices have gone through the roof. And with that in mind, I just watched a video about some people talking about the fact that some of the Goodwill bins have actually got employees going through the bins in the back and pulling out the nicer pieces. Some of the nicer pieces are disappearing. They don't know. And this is word of mouth through a video that I just watched. If you've heard anything about this, please comment in the chat below and tell me, have you noticed the higher end pieces in your bins maybe disappearing a little bit, depending on what state you might live in? And some people in the chat were saying that's not happening where I live. And I've seen other videos recently of people doing liquidation, doing bins, and they're still finding nice pieces. So I'm kind of wondering if they're testing it at some of the bins in some states and not testing it just yet. But there are a lot of changes happening in the reseller community. Now, I'm going to kind of do a shift change. My husband and I used to own a pack and ship company, very similar to the post office, but it was a privately owned company where we rented mailboxes, we did shipping for people, we had various other different services that the regular post office doesn't have, and we owned a business like that before we moved out here. When you own a business like that and you want to make changes, it's very different to try and make changes when you have a brick and mortar store you're running compared to something online. And if we wanted to make changes or add to things, we only had so much space in our store. If we wanted to expand, you've got some massive expense involved in expanding like that, guys. So having previously owned a business like that compared to changes as a reseller, I'd rather tweak and change my business model. Maybe, okay, is this working for people? Maybe I should try this. I don't know if something's going to work great for my business unless I try it, right? That's why I'm always talking about tweaking and changing your business from time to time or as you go, because you really don't know. And because reselling does change, it's like, let's talk about this. A couple of years ago, everything shut down because of COVID, right? Okay, I'm not even going to go into COVID. I'm not going to talk about that. But the point is that there was a massive change for a very long time for resellers. I wasn't actually reselling during that time. But I do know after watching certain videos, people commented about how that massively interrupted their reselling because they couldn't go sourcing. So a lot of people switched to online sourcing. And now a lot of people actually found that to be a benefit to their business model. Now that was kind of a negative for people to not be able to go into stores, but them being able to source online, maybe that sourcing online was actually a blessing and a benefit and grew their business even more being home sourcing online than going out. Honestly, I don't know, but you know what? There are changes happening in the reseller community right now. And as a reseller, you have to figure out what's going to work for you. And if you have to make changes to your business model, you got to do it, right? I know another really popular online reseller who used to sell a lot of higher end brands. She did a lot of liquidation. She sold really nice pieces, really expensive pieces, made really good money on those expensive pieces. And now her life has changed. And I think maybe 4 or 5 months ago, she changed her business model from buying liquidation. And now she mostly does bins. And she has changed her business model to, instead of selling fewer pieces for a lot of money, she sells more pieces now, does the bins, and sells more pieces on a daily basis. Again, if you have to change things, you got to change things, guys. You just have to figure out what's working for you. You may even have to change platforms or add a platform. If you're only selling on Poshmark, switch and sell on eBay also. If you're only selling on eBay, switch and sell on Poshmark also, and figure out what works for those different platforms. So I'm trying to encourage us to not look at the changes that are happening in a negative way, but let's figure out for your listings how you can make money more efficiently and effectively with the changes that are occurring and what works for you. Okay? And again, don't compare yourself to other resellers, because what may work for you won't work for somebody else. What may work for somebody else may not work for you. So you have to research and figure out what other people are doing, figure out if it works for you, and if it does, go for it. And if you don't know, try it. And if it finds that it doesn't work for you, then stop doing it, try something else, right? But you don't know unless you try, okay? Okay, so let's talk about changes on platforms. You guys, these platforms right now, Whatnot and Poshmark Lives are competing with each other. This was actually strongly discussed in the video I watched this morning. They're both, now Whatnot's been around for longer than Poshmark Lives, but Whatnot and Poshmark are competing with each other. They say, okay, they're doing this, let's try this. They're all trying to figure out how in the reseller community they can best suit resellers and make money on their platforms. As resellers, we need to see the changes that each platform are making and figure out if it works for us, and if it does, go for it. As a reseller, if you're going to make money for your personal family, figure out what's working best on each platform and do it. The gal that I was watching this morning, she found that Whatnot auctions may not necessarily have been working the best for her business model, but Poshmark auctions were. She still sells on the 2 other platforms, but she discussed why she switched. And then I've known other people who do really well on both platforms and still, do really well on Whatnot and Poshmark Lives and still sell on the platforms. Everybody's so different. You just have to figure out what's working. I know I'm continually saying that, but I want us to understand it's okay what's happening, guys. Things are going to, you can't expect reselling to be the same all the time. Businesses, platforms, companies, they all have to tweak and change to roll with the economy. And the economy is another thing, guys. These platforms realize that the economy is changing too. As well as resellers, we have to realize not only are the platforms changing partly because of the economy, because of what's happening. People are struggling right now financially. They're looking for a good deal. And let me say this, if you were not a reseller and you were buying on platforms for your family, be honest with yourself. You would be looking for the best deal, especially if you had kids to take care of and put food to put on the table and you were strapped financially. You would be looking for the absolute best possible deal you could find on anything you were looking for to be able to purchase. You wouldn't be looking for like the medium, brand. Now, not everybody's doing that because not everybody's struggling. But if you were looking for the best deal, it's okay to do that for your family to take care of things, right? As a reseller, I want to meet the needs of the people who are looking for the best deal possible, the lowest deal possible. And I want to meet the needs of the people who aren't strapped financially and are looking for the nicer pieces. I want to try and cover all bases wherever I can do that possible. As a reseller, you need to figure out where you fit into that niche for your own stuff, right? Okay, so let me see. Doubling listings. Okay, so we kind of talked about with lives and platforms. I think we also need to figure out, since there's a lot of changes with the economy, people are strapped financially, they're looking for deals. And that's the thing, well, honestly, that's one of the reasons why I think lives are booming right now, you guys. Honestly, people are struggling financially. People are looking for good deals on kids' clothes. People are looking for good deals on plus size clothes, good deals on retail, new with tags pieces, because it's so darn stinking expensive in the store. It's one of the reasons why reselling is so huge right now, you guys. This is such a great time to be a reseller because people are looking for deals, whether it's new with tags, kids, men's, women's, plus size, small size, extra small size, whatever. People are looking for deals no matter what they're looking for. I know when I'm on eBay and I'm looking for something, I am looking for the best possible deal that I can find, bang for my buck, for how hard my husband and I work to do what we do. I am. I'm not going to be shy about it. And I want to give other families the opportunity as a reseller to be able to find those pieces. If I can find great retail pieces at a great price for my COG and try to give them a great deal, my kids' clothes on Whatnot, I sell them pretty low because my COG is low. I have a great sourcing option, my COG is low, and I want to pass on those savings to these moms that need good savings, right? So, along with that, on our platforms, my goal, no matter what I sell, period, wherever I sell it, whether it's lives or platforms, minimum is to double my money for my business model. If I can't do that, I don't put it up for that price, okay? Like on my Whatnot lives, there are certain things I know on Whatnot, because of how Whatnot functions and the brands that people sell, I have figured out what works for me. I have a difficult time selling men's and women's clothes because on that platform, there's certain brands that do really well, and you're competing against a lot of resellers. Poshmark is a little bit different. Poshmark, you can sell things a little bit higher, get a little bit more for your money. Yes, the fee is a little bit higher, but you're able to sell things a little bit higher. So for me, my goal, no matter what I do, whether it's lives or my platforms, is to double my money. If I can't double my money, I don't do it. Sometimes I triple my money. Very rarely do I 4 times it, but at least double, sometimes triple my money. And my goal is to sell things through as quickly as possible to make money as quickly as possible. I do have space here, and my goal eventually is to have a space not in my home where I do my business. But right now, because my space is a little bit limited, kind of, I want to get these items through my store as quickly as possible. So yeah, I want to try and accommodate that. Okay, let's talk about accepting offers. No matter what platform you're on, okay? And we're not talking about lives. No matter what platform you're on, I do think it's important to accept offers if you're at least doubling your money right now. I know. Some people are going to say, but I expect to get this price, and I want this price for my item. Somebody who used to be on eBay, he's now just a full-time Whatnot reseller. He runs multiple shows every single day. He has multiple people working for him. He just moved into another big, huge warehouse. He's doing very well. Yeah, I don't know if you actually know him, but he's huge on YouTube. He's huge on Whatnot now. He used to be huge on eBay. And one of his statements is, the piece that you're selling is only going to sell for what the buyer thinks it's worth. And that is so true, you guys. You can even look at sold comps, but if your goal is to sell something as quickly as possible, make at least double your money on that item and move on to something else, especially if you have a storage area in your house to accommodate for your inventory. If you're expecting, say, $50 in an item because of sold comps, but somebody offers you, say, $35 for that item, and man, you just really wanted 40 or 45 or maybe 50 for that piece, and you're going to hold out. He always says, especially on eBay, if you're at least doubling your money on that item, accept the item and move on. Get your money back, double your money, move on and get another piece, 2 pieces for what you bought it. Move on. Don't hold on to your inventory. You're going to make more sales accepting more offers, at least if you double your money. Now, some pieces, like for me, this is just me, if I've had something in there for a while, it hasn't had a lot of interest, not a lot of likes, It's been, relisted, delisted, and all that other stuff. And somebody comes in and offers me an offer, and I like either make my cog back and a few dollars more. Like this morning, I had that. I had that on eBay. I've been holding on to this particular skirt that I've had for well over a year. It was one of the first things that I bought when I started reselling. And I think I paid like $3.50 for it or something. I was hoping to get like $15 at least for it on eBay. Somebody sent me a $10 offer. I accepted the offer because that thing has not had hardly any interest in my stores at all. So right now, I'm going to be basically getting my money back and a little bit more, but I'm getting my money back from the item, getting it in new hands, and moving on. So sometimes those are situations where you just want to do that. So when that happens, I do that. But most of the time, I'm at least doubling my money. And this is aside from the fees. So it sells, my fees come out, and I've doubled my money aside from my fees. Okay, guys? So I think sometimes we need to take lower offers on things because, again, it's only going to sell for what people think it's worth, especially if it hasn't gotten a lot of other interest from other buyers. Now, if you have something that's got a lot of likes and it's only been up for a couple months and you think maybe you might be able to get a little bit more for it and it's a nice piece, yeah, maybe hold out for it. But if you've had it up there for 4 or 5 months, you've gotten a lot of likes, maybe you need to look at what it's listed at, bring it down a little bit, and see if it sells that way too, right? Okay. Perspective on what's going on, guys. I really think as resellers, yeah, we can be frustrated about some of the things that are changing. But again, like I've mentioned earlier in this video, guys, all these platforms are trying to figure out how to accommodate with changes, the economy, what's going on with Goodwill stores. They're taking everything into consideration for their businesses too. Whether it's Poshmark, eBay, Depop, all these places, whatnot, Poshmark Lives. These companies are in business to make money too. And as resellers, we chose to pick these platforms to resell on. And if they make changes, we have, as resellers, we need to figure out, okay, does this platform still work for me? Okay, does it or doesn't it? Can I tweak my business model just to make it work for me so that I still make money on top of the changes that they're making? And honestly, some of the changes that they're making may not necessarily accommodate us now, but maybe they'll accommodate us better down the road. Okay? Or maybe you should try a different platform. I don't know. Maybe you should change your business model like this one gal talked about who was selling really high-end pieces. Her COG was really high. She decided that she needed to change her business model to accommodate the changes that were happening and her family that changed because she has a kid. She wanted to, there was just a lot involved there for her. So she changed things. So I don't want us to be mad about the changes that are happening in the reseller community. I want us to adjust. How can these changes benefit me? How can I tweak things? How can I have it benefit my life? And you know what? Maybe the changes that are happening in the reseller community could potentially be a blessing to your business model if you did tweak and change some things, okay? So I know we want to be upset and irritated at the reselling platforms, at the lives, at the thrift stores because things are so high. But instead of being mad at things and putting so much of that energy and time into that, I'd rather take that time, research and figure out what works for me, maybe find a different place to source. Let's switch to sourcing now. And not be upset about the changes. So for me, sourcing has been a bit of a challenge because some of the places that I had been sourcing at, either the pieces weren't good enough for what the quality was that I was looking for, or the COG's been high. So what I decided to do, and this is something that I want you guys to consider, I don't have bins around me, okay? So what I did was I put a post up on Instagram and I reached out to everybody on Instagram saying, hey, if you live close to bins, I'm always looking for more inventory and ways to source. Would it be possible for you to reach out to me if you're interested in doing some sourcing? And so when they go to the bins and they find pieces that may work for me, I pay them for their time and their piece. They ship me the pieces and I'm able to list items from the bins that I can't source at another location. And my COG is still really low. And that's actually been starting to work for me. I've got one gal that I'm working with right now, bless her heart. She's been working with me, great COG, good pieces. And now we've developed a business relationship. I'm helping her, she's helping me. So if you have the opportunity to maybe even go on Instagram or other places, seek out maybe even Craigslist. Guys, there's other ways to find inventory that might possibly work for your business model than always online sourcing. Maybe your business model works so you can pick up some pallets or bigger boxes where your cog is smaller, if that works for you. For me, I still need to build up my store a bit before I do pallets, just because I pay cash for everything, and I'm building up my inventory source to be able to accommodate for maybe down the road purchasing bigger boxes or pallets where my cog can be cheaper and I can turn around and sell those pieces. But right now that's a pretty big investment, and I'm happy with the boxes that I've been doing and other ways that I've been sourcing. So what I'm saying, guys, is maybe find some unique ways to source your items. Maybe, I know the other people on YouTube too, find people who are done reselling and they liquidate their inventory. I actually just purchased some pieces from a gal. I was watching another YouTube video. I think I did the unboxing for you guys. I don't know. I don't think it's been posted yet. But the gal was liquidating her inventory. Another huge reseller on YouTube did a huge haul from things that she picked up. She said it was okay if she advertised it. So I reached out to her, asked her to do sell pieces. She did. I purchased some pieces from her that way through Instagram. So guys, find ways, unique ways to source inventory, maybe through YouTube, reaching out to people via Instagram, maybe some there's reseller groups on Facebook. There's lots of different ways, guys, to be unique in your own business model, to find ways to source during this unique time that we're going through. So I don't want us to be upset or frustrated. I want us to find, hey, things are changing. How can I change with it? Whether you own a brick and mortar store, honestly, I find this easier for me to manipulate than when my husband owned a brick and mortar store. It's so much more involved in doing that when you own your own business, brick and mortar store, than owning an online business. Maybe even Shopify works for you. Maybe finding a different way to sell your stuff. There's so many different avenues, you guys, that we can find to tweak and change things, and maybe things are better. Some people even do online selling on YouTube. I know a gal that I've been following for a very long time. She has a YouTube live that she does every week. She sources all of her stuff for liquidation pallets. She's been doing it for quite some time, so she has a lot of inventory going through. And she does live auctions through YouTube and makes very good money, side money doing it. She pays for all of her family vacations and extra stuff. So guys, there are lots of different ways that we can find to sell things, to source things. So I'm encouraging all of us just to take a step back. If you need to, take a couple days, take a step back. Okay, look at your platforms that you sell on, look at other platforms, look at your sourcing, different ways to source inventory. Maybe reevaluate with the way things are changing. Maybe some of your items that you have listed, you can bring the price down, or maybe lives might work for you on some of your pieces and platforms for the other pieces. So I just want to encourage all of us to just take a deep breath. Everything's going to be okay. All the time through reselling, guys, there's always changes. Okay? There's always changes. We just need to tweak and change and grow as we go through them and figure out what works for you. I know I've said that multiple times throughout this video, but it's true. I haven't been frustrated with a lot of things that are going on lately, because anytime I see a change or I see somebody else trying something, I research and I figure it out, guys. I don't want us to be frustrated enjoying reselling. Reselling is an incredible opportunity, you guys. And I don't want you to be frustrated. If something isn't working for you, figure out how to change it. Figure out how it works for you. I'm super excited, guys, because this is such a great opportunity to give people good product for a great price at a great quality. Don't let the changes that are going on right now bum you out. Figure out how to overcome, move on, and do what you got to do to make your business continue to move forward. And don't be stuck, well, I never would do this, because I never thought I'd do Poshmark Lives. But you know what? I got approved, and maybe it won't work for me, but I won't know unless I try. I didn't know of Whatnot auctions, and I'm going to tell you something about Whatnot. I've been on Whatnot now since October, several months now, and I've had to try a lot of different things. I could have given up a long time ago, but after a lot of trial and error, I have finally figured out what could possibly work for me and whatnot. It's doing well, and now I'm working on tweaking and changing my price brackets and figuring out what works well for them, what works well for me. If you find that something might work, but you have to continue to tweak and change things, don't give up, guys. Reselling is such a great opportunity. Maybe you just need to tweak and change your pricing, or tweak and change where you're listing certain things. Maybe something is doing so well on eBay, but it would do well on Poshmark. Flip it around and put it on Poshmark. Who knows? All I'm saying is reselling is amazing. This is such a great time in life to bless people with reselling with the product that you have. It's a great opportunity. It's a great business model. I'm enjoying it. I want you to enjoy it too. So I'm encouraging all of us to change our perspective, figure out what's working, what's not working for you, tweak and change things. And let's have a great month. Let's continue to have a great year. Guys, I think if we do that, we'll find that maybe instead of focusing on all the negative, redirecting all that time and that energy, figuring out what does work for you, moving forward and make money, guys. We're here to make money, right? So I hope this was helpful to you. I don't want it to be a downer. I want us to figure out if things aren't working, how to improve them, okay? I know it's easy to get depressed, but if things aren't working, it's like if you run a brick and mortar store, you wouldn't sit there and be bummed out. You have overhead to pay for when you have a brick and mortar store. You can't sit there and pout and be booey. You got to figure out how to change things. And when they bring inventory in, they have to flush the inventory through if it doesn't sell, right? Same thing with us. If we have inventory that's moving in or a card that didn't work, you have to figure out how to get that inventory out, move on, and continue forward. Okay, I don't want to beat the bush. Let's talk about goals this week, guys. Let's make a pact that this week we figure out, okay, there are changes going on in the reseller community. How can I adjust things for myself to make money for my own business, for my own family? Again, don't compare yourself to other resellers, okay? Share in the comments below, you guys, what you liked about this video. Share in the comments below things that you've realized that maybe, yeah, things are kind of crummy right now. What can I do to change those things? What have I thought I would never do? Maybe I should reconsider doing them. Or what am I doing now that's not working that I can change and make things grow in my platforms and in my business? Share in the comments below what you might be tweaking. Because guys, this is a great time to be selling. We do have a possible upcoming slowdown for summer season. And I'm hoping that if we look at this now, when fall hits, you guys, and the Christmas season is here, if we can tweak and change things and get things moving along, we could have a fantastic Christmas, you guys. We can have a great fall season. So I'm trying to encourage us to look ahead and make those changes now. Guys, if this was a blessing to you, please do give this a thumbs up. We are also, we do unboxings here. I always like to give a plug for my channel. I do unboxings. I do updates. The weekly reseller chat, guys, when we talk about the frustrations, we talk about what's working, what's not working. We also share just different things, different ways that we source, you guys. There's also always different kinds of content on here. If my channel is a blessing to you, please do subscribe. And guys, I hope this was a blessing to you. I know I just said that, but I really do. I hope you find this as a way to, you know what, let's draw the line. Instead of being mad about things, let's figure out what we can do for our own business and find ways to make money in our business. Okay, guys, I hope this was a help. I'll see you next time.